All right, guys, welcome back. We are excited. Well, I'm always excited because Delancey doesn't know half the people I bring on, and so then it's like freaking blind reactions. And if you watch our YouTube, I know most of you listen to this, but if you watch our YouTube, then you can see her face. And I was just telling our guest who we have on how much Delancey's faces are just the best. Anyway, we have Heather on today, and I absolutely love her. You guys know I interviewed her before. She seriously, what I was just telling Delancey before, is like one of the most amazing women. I look up to her. I admire, like, seriously, with everything that she does and everything she continues to do. She is somebody who has one of the biggest hearts that I've ever met. And I've never met her in real life. We were just talking about that. I've got all these people I need to meet in real life so I can hug them. But seriously, her story is amazing. If you follow her, she does a lot of recipes and shows a lot of her family. And so I'm excited because she shares bits and pieces of this, and I know she's working on things to share more of this, but I love her story because it's just amazing and beautiful, and we need more people like this in the world because seriously, she's one of the good ones. So I will go ahead and turn the time over to Heather. So Heather, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me again. Thank you. So just a little bit about our story is my husband and I got married and we had a plan to have a family. And of course, it didn't turn out like we had planned. And I was diagnosed with endometriosis when I was 23. Didn't know a lot about it, kind of looked into it and thought, I didn't realize it could cause infertility. I really didn't know anything about endometriosis. And so we got married. I was actually diagnosed before we got married. And of course, my husband's super great. So he's like, it's okay. I don't need a family. I love you. I'm here for you. And I was like, I understood that, but as a mom, I don't know, there's just that mothering that just wants you to take care of people and you want a family. And so after 4 years of trying to have a baby, we ended up looking into adoption and we did private adoption. So we adopted our first son, David, through private adoption, and it costs a lot. And our families, my parents and my husband's parents, they were so kind. Like they surprised us at Christmas and they actually gave us the money to adopt David, which was so sweet because
That's amazing.
It's horrible. You have to take out a loan to have to be a mom is crazy, And so just because of the expenses, we knew we couldn't keep doing this. And so we had friends that were foster parents for like 35 years. And they're like, have you looked into foster care? And I'm like, well, not really, And so we looked into foster care and we didn't get into foster care to adopt a family. I just wanted to do something. I just wanted to make a difference and be a part of other people's lives. And really, when you get into foster care, you can't go into it with the mindset that you're going to adopt a family because really that's not what foster care is. And so we went into it because I thought, well, we could do what we can do. We can help and be a part of other families and, just kind of help them. And so at our very first meeting, my son Joshua was in the middle of the room and he was just kind of playing and you could tell he had some disabilities. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I love him so much. And so I reached out to our foster agent that, or foster person that we worked with. And I'm like, who is that little boy? Is he up for adoption? And she just kind of looked at me like, this is your first meeting. You haven't even brought any kids in. And she's like, well, he was shaken at 2 weeks old. And so he has lots of disabilities. And I'm like, well, is he up for adoption? And she's like, really? Like, you haven't even gotten into it, and David was just like maybe 2. So we were new parents.
Yeah.
And she's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. And she was really shocked because that's not normal, but I just knew that God wanted me to be his mom. I just knew it. Like I saw him and I just instantly, it was love at first sight. Like I knew I had to have him. And so they contacted the foster parents who had him and they were like, really? Like, it kind of irritated me a little bit because I'm thinking, what do you mean, really? I mean, right. It didn't make sense to me. And so we started the process with Joshua, brought him into our home. And then, so this would be it took us 2 years to adopt him. So we're like now at 6 years. And so it was just a long process to adopt him just because of circumstances around it. And so then he was finally adopted in 2003, July 2nd. And then the very next day, I found out I was pregnant with Gideon. It was the weirdest thing ever. It was like the most wonderful 4th of July weekend ever. And so we found out we were pregnant with Gideon, and we had him the next year, of course. And so that had been 8 years. It took us to me to be able to get pregnant and have a child. And then right after Gideon, 2 years later, we had some other kids come in and out, but then Isabella came in. She was 5.5 months old. And then 3 years later, we brought in Haley. And Haley, I like to share Haley's story. So Haley was 9. Our foster care worker, who pretty much brought me all my kids, my one foster care worker, she said, I have a little girl. She's 9. She wants to have a big family, live on a farm, and go to church. And I was like, oh, and she's like, so we're bringing her to you so you can adopt her. And I'm like, okay, yes. I mean, she didn't really give us a choice, but she just knew, and so I called my husband and I said, we have a girl. And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, oh, she's going to be here next week. We're going to have a girl. And he's like, oh, and we completely trusted the social worker. I mean, she knew our family. We worked with her for so long. Right. So Haley came in, and then the next couple of years are just so busy. So the next maybe 6 months later, then little Noah came into our home. At the time, his brothers were our neighbors. His dad worked for our company. He was coming to church. He was just trying to get his life together. And so they were our neighbors. And it's really odd because like Brendan and Robert would come over and like eat dinner with their dad, and then come to my door knowing I'm having dinner and ask if they can eat with us. And they played with our kids. So we were a part of their lives before we became like a part of their lives. And so Noah was placed with us because they wanted him close to his brothers. And so Noah came in June, and then that October, the boy's dad passed suddenly. Sorry if I get emotional, but so he passed suddenly. We weren't expecting it, and we loved the boys so much. They didn't want to leave. They didn't want to leave their brother because they both have different dads, same mom, and so we sat down at the table because they're older, and I think they can have a decision on what they want to do with their lives. And so we sat down at the very table I have right now in my sunroom, and we just talked, and we said, hey, what do you guys want to do? Because it was either us or their aunt and uncle. And they're like, well, we want to be here. We don't want to leave little Noah. And I said, well, we would love to adopt you. Would you guys want to be adopted? And they're like, yeah. So we decided together. And so then we adopted the 3 boys. And then in Michigan, you can only have 8 children in your home in foster care. So we have.
Oh, we just lost her. Anyway, let's kind of hash out what
I need her to come back. I need to know what's going to happen. Like I'm over here taking notes because I'm like, I need to keep these people straight.
She just wait, like she's amazing. And once you go peep her family, man, oh my gosh, like she's just one of those forces to be reckoned with for the good. She's amazing.
I think my favorite was that Haley at 9 years old is like, I want to be in a family on a farm and go to church. It's like,
sorry, no, right?
No, you're fine.
Don't apologize.
Don't apologize.
We were just talking about you. You're good. Delancey's like, though.
Okay, I was like, I need her to come back.
Oh my goodness.
Been taking notes.
I touched and I was gone. I'm like, oh crap. So anyway, just to end it is we had to close our license because we had 8 children, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, Delancey had a whole thing of notes. That's why she's like, she better come back, because she was scribbling like,
sorry.
You need her to come back because like it's when you're talking about this many, like there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of moving parts in this, a lot.
Right.
And I still, what I was saying when you came back was that I love that at 9 years old, Haley's specific thing was, I want a big family. I want to live on a farm. I want to go to church. I don't know many 9-year-olds that would say that.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, maybe like live on a farm, or no, I can't think of any that would say I want a big family.
Or go,
because they usually come. Yeah. They usually come from like bigger families. So they just like the ones that I know. So
yeah. And she is an only child. She was an only child, so that might be it.
Crazy. Oh yeah, wanted a family.
That's definitely it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That makes more sense now. That makes more sense now. So, just so I'm clear, because this was a lot of moving parts. So how old was Joshua when you brought him home?
So Joshua, when we met Josh, he was just over a year.
Just over a
So
year.
he had been foster care since 2 weeks old because of being shaken. So he was shaken at 2 weeks old.
Okay.
And brought into the hospital. And then they kind of figured out what was going on. And so then he got placed in foster care when he got out of the hospital. Okay. So when we saw him, he was a year old in foster care. Rights had been terminated. That was all done. So now he basically was waiting for a family, pretty much.
And then you found out you were pregnant. I'm trying to remember exactly when that placement went.
So he came into our home and the placement took a while. There was just circumstances around it. The foster parents weren't really working with it. It was just like so it took longer than it should have. It was kind of ridiculous, actually. And so then when we finally got the paper saying it's final, then I found out I was pregnant with Gideon the next day. It was just a very surreal weekend.
I don't know if I even know that. So like the parents that were fostering
the foster parents,
they were being difficult. Is that what it was?
Oh. See, that's very shocking to me because their immediate responses. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and throw my tone and how I figured they would say it. Really, like that's how I picture them being. Like, really, like
when you were saying that you fell in love with him, and that you were ready to take him home.
Judgy to you, like really, and it's
so I think it's weird.
I think that's very strange that they were difficult.
Well, I think, I mean, I don't want to say it, but dollars.
I was about to say, I'll say it. They were trying to get a paycheck.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
And
I'll be the one to say
it. So I think they expected him to always be there. And so some of the circumstances was, it wasn't a family. I just don't like to bash other people, but,
I will.
They weren't really letting him so because of his injuries, he had brain injury, his feet were broken, so he couldn't really walk. So he had braces. And so instead of taking the time, and he wasn't talking at the time either. So he couldn't talk. All he did was scream. He couldn't walk, crawl, nothing. So he's a year and no progression. And so when we were trying to transition him in, I took him out of the stroller that he sat in all day. And I didn't put a playpen around him. I got him moving. We let him express himself. We took him off a bottle. I mean, it's just, just because kids are disabled doesn't mean they can't reach milestones. They just, I think when people see disabled kids, they think they're dumb, they can't grow, they don't understand. Right. And so Josh was being suppressed. And so when he was coming to my house, he had freedom. He had freedom to do things, to move, to walk, to grab things, to throw things like a normal 1.5-year-old would do. Right. And so when he went back, and it broke my heart because every time I took him home or took him back, they would stick him in that stroller and he screamed. And I told my husband, I said, I cannot walk away. I mean, it was so hard. Yeah. And they didn't like that. They didn't like that he started to have a personality, that he didn't like being in the stroller. They didn't like, and he started hitting himself. Well, he probably hit himself because he wanted to do things. He didn't know how to express himself. Right. And so those complaints were made. And so if you make a complaint, it has to go through the proper channels. So I don't think she liked the fact that we wanted him. I don't think she liked the fact that we are giving him a life. And so finally, I think people finally realized, okay, we see what's going on. And so finally, a year and a half later, and just to give you a little thing with Joshua. So he came into our home, he would have been 2.5, right? Because it took us a year and a half. And this, I give myself it's all from God. It's Josh because he's a fighter. We were a tool that was used, but I'll never give myself that glory because Josh, he's the one that got him, us helping him, but he was the fighter. Within 6 months, we had him eating with a fork and spoon. Wow. We had him doing sign language to tell us what he wanted. Within 8 months, he was crawling. Within a year, he was walking. And then within probably shortly after walking, he was talking. Wow. That was all within a year and a half because he got worked with.
That's awesome.
How much better could he have been if he wasn't stuck in a stroller? Right. So, but
I don't feel like
Yeah.
you're not bashing anybody, because I know how
You're not
you are.
bashing
You're really
anyone.
not. You are just saying this is
not.
how it was done. And I really like that you brought it to light, because I love that you said that people view people with disabilities. Some people do. It was like, oh, they can't do anything. And you just knocked it right out of, like, people just need love. And that's like that's what my favorite thing about you, Heather, is like, that's what you have, is just abundance of love. And you're willing to do anything for anybody and everybody. And look at the results. Like, if you see him, and if you guys have seen her social media, he is an amazing human, and everything that he does, like, she shows him cooking, she shows him building projects, she shows him doing all these amazing things that, like, and I remember when I interviewed her that she said that people said that he wasn't going to be able to do, but it sounds like because they restricted him. And what she did is she actually let him thrive and be the amazing human that he was meant to be. So I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Delancey, did you have I know you had any other questions?
I'm ready.
I was gonna say, I know Heather is like a sweet human being. So and that's not bad. That's not bashing. Facts are facts, and facts don't care about feelings. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'll say it, those foster parents suck.
And it's sad that
they just suck. And it's really sad, because I feel like it happens more than it should. Especially with, like y'all were just saying, and I completely agree with it. It's just because God made somebody different doesn't mean that they're less than. Correct. It just means they're different. They're just different. And it's okay. I'm trying to okay, so Noah, you said Noah's family, he had 3 brothers.
2 brothers.
2 brothers. Okay, so it was the 3 altogether. Okay, I got. See, this is why I took notes, because I got confused. I didn't write that part down because that confused me. Okay, so it was Noah and his 2 brothers, but the 2 brothers had the same dad, and then Noah had a different dad.
Correct.
But they all had the same mom.
Right.
Am I don't want to pry too much, but where was mom in this situation with
taking
them?
So mom was around. She was really struggling. And we actually met with her. So after the boy's dad passed, we actually sat down with the mom and said, this is what we'd like to do, adopt the 3 boys. And we had a meeting with her, and she agreed that at the time she was doing better, but she still, was working on housing, working on a job. And so we talked to her first, just because I think the circumstances were a little different. She was struggling, and she's still seeing the boys and stuff, but just wasn't stable, know, and enough to give 3 boys a home at the time. There's a lot of history with that, but I'm not going to go into that. But so anyway, we did talk with her, and she said, it was hard. See, this is a thing too, is our kids are with us, but really nobody wins. Because you're taking a family apart. Yeah, you're creating another family, but you've still taken that other structure, and whether we did it or somebody else did it or whatever. So it's not easy. I remember when Isabella's mom, we were in court and she signed her rights away. I cried for a week because I'm thinking to myself, I love Isabella. I've had her for 2.5 years, but I'm in my mind, I'm watching, I'm going, fight for her, say something to the judge, do something. Don't just sit there, and that's what I'm saying in my mind as I'm watching her, seeing her defeated. I'm like, just keep fighting. I loved Isabella. I didn't want her to go anywhere. We had her for 3 years. We're all she knew, but it was so hard to see her defeated. It's just nobody wins. That's the thing, is nobody wins. Yeah, we gave our kids a better life, a different life, but there's still people broken that are still trying to heal. And my kids see their mom, the boys see their mom, but it's not the same. It's not the same,
right? Because
they're not there together all the time. So somebody's always hurting still. It's just not, it's never a happy ending, because does that make sense? Like,
no,
it's a happy ending, but it's not really a happy ending, because still people are broken. And you still don't have that original family unit together, which is what's supposed to happen, right? That family unit stays together forever. And just because of circumstances, it doesn't, So But yeah, mom is still in the picture. The boys, they go to dinner with her. They take her out for Mother's Day. She's doing really great. She's got herself a place and she started her own cleaning business. And so she's doing really, really well. And so the boys are older and they can choose now. You know, it doesn't have to go through me.
Right.
If they have to make the decision, but they have to make sure that the situation, you know, that everything is good, because Noah's still 15. I mean, he's still young.
Right.
But the sad part of it is the kids really like cherish mom, but as they got older, they seen that she wasn't as invested, which makes me very sad because
Yeah.
I got to see, like, Noah was super little. So Noah would have been 3, Brandon would have been 8, Robert was 10. So Robert's seen everything that happened. So when he came in our home, he was done. He was already done because he raised his brothers. He's seen what happened. He was the mom and dad. And so Brendan was 8. So he still adored her. She was his hero, but yet why doesn't she come see us a lot? You know, and now he's older and he's nice, but you can tell he's, well, little Noah was 3 and he loved her to death. Oh, where's my mom? I'd cry. He'd come home from visits crying. You know, they were all in a different stage. And now that he's 14, he doesn't talk about her as much because she doesn't invest in him. So it's very sad to me, but I got to see all 3 boys in a different time where they understood and didn't understand. And so now, and it's sad to me because I'm thinking, they love you. They want to see you. You're only 30 minutes away. Why aren't you not calling every day? So I don't understand that. And now the boys are like, well, if we see her, we see her, which is very sad to me because it is their mother and they still do need her. No matter what she's done, they still need that. But maybe they're not mature enough yet to understand that they still need that relationship for them, for their future relationships and their future.
Right.
You know, it's just there's so many pieces. It's not simple for sure.
It's not, like you said, there's so many pieces, there's so many moving parts. And their mom is, for all intents and purposes, available there.
Correct.
If they see her. What about, I mean, I understand Joshua's parents, that those rights were terminated.
Correct.
I'm assuming no contact.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any contact with anyone else's parents?
So,
or bio parents, I feel like I should say.
Yeah. So David was private adoption. We kept it open. So he sees all of his family whenever he wants. He just reconnected with, I wasn't going to do clothes. Clothes don't make no sense to me. Clothes don't make sense to me because I do think you got to have that family too. You have to. Somebody, you got to find somebody. They need that. And so David was open adoption. So he sees whoever he wants. He grew up seeing them. And then for Joshua, even though parents' rights are terminated, we would pick his siblings up and bring them to church. And so he got to grow up with his siblings. And
awesome.
So he's seen them until they became adults and now they have their own family. Isabella is best friends with her grandma. She sees her cousins. Birth mom, she chooses not to see for good reason. I let her make a choice.
No,
and
that makes sense.
Then her birth dad, she's not ready for it either. So that's her decision. Haley just recently reconnected with her birth dad. She is best friends with her grandma. She has an uncle, I think cousins, aunts, uncles. So she sees a lot of family. And then the boys see their aunt and uncle. They see their cousins. They see their birth mom. It's just the 3 of them. So of course they don't have any other siblings. So, I mean, we're pretty open if the family's doing good, if they're healthy, if there's no using or anything, they can see whoever. We're completely open with that because I just feel like it's important. Like,
I love that.
You need it for healing. You need it for emergencies. If something happens, I'm not their blood type. I don't know their history. I don't know if there's diabetes in the family. I don't know that. So we've always been open, even with foster care. When our kids were in our home, the families were a part of it. Like Isabella's parents would come to church with us. The aunt would come and get them for birthday parties, or she'd come to birthday parties. Grandma, Izzy's grandma, and the boys' mom stayed over for Christmas Eve so she could get up and watch them see their Santa presents and open presents. So we were always open about keeping family around, because I just think all family is important. So we weren't, and I've said this before, we weren't here to like create a new family and to take their history away. We were here to just add to it. We're now an extension of all of them.
That. That's pretty awesome.
And you have to. That's what you have to do. You can't go into foster care thinking you're gonna, I'm adopt these kids. Hush, hush. Oh, look it. Yeah. Oh, I'm your mom. Because they're gonna find out. They always find out, and then it's worse. Super worse.
Yeah.
So and just like adoption, like our kids, even like Noah doesn't remember a lot because he was 3. Izzy, of course, was little, but we always talked about it. So as our kids got older, they knew they had family. They knew they were adopted. They might not have understood it at the time,
Right?
but it was a part of our talking and our lives. So it was just natural. So as they got older, it was easier to maybe deal with the fact that you're adopted or ask questions about what happened. And it just, you never go wrong. You never go right keeping secrets. Never.
Amen.
And it never goes right by cutting off people, because the kids need them. I might not need them, but my kids do. And that's what it is to be a family. It's everybody, not just one person.
See why we need more people like Heather? Like seriously, she's got the best outlook on it.
Well, I'm
Like
far
the
from
biggest
perfect.
heart.
Well, but did you hear what she said? Did you hear what she said? You never go right by keeping secrets.
Seriously though, seriously. I know and that is for people that do listen to us that have asked when's the best time to tell your kid they're adopted. Just what she said, just what other people have said. You make it like it's always known, like it's just second nature, like there's no questions, no nothing, because the more you keep secrets, that's when crap gets a lot harder the older that you get, like really hard. really.
Well, you don't have to sit them down either and say, by the way, you're adopted. Like, you don't have to have a family meeting. Raise your hand if you're adopted. I mean, you don't have to do that. It just has to be a part of your life.
Yes.
Because when we decided to do this, like a lot of people think you go into foster care and it's just the kids. It's not. Like when you go into foster care, it's everything. It's everything. Be prepared to bring everybody in your circle. And if you're not prepared for that, then just don't become a foster parent, And I had heard there's foster parents that come in and 6 months later, they're done. I don't understand that. Then why did you become a foster parent? Because you couldn't adopt them? Is that, is that why maybe? And so you got mad and you left? I mean, ugh.
Well, it just goes back to the other thing. It's that you said, I think that ties back into the second statement that you said that just keeps resonating in my brain. It's that I might not need them, but my kids do.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that probably plays a big part in it, because not the people who leave at 6 months probably did not go into it with the right heart to do. I mean, it's really being a foster parent's acts of service. It's not about you. It's about taking care of the kids and the family. And we had done an episode previously where I just blanked on her name.
Jenny, is that who you're talking about?
Yes,
the foster?
Thank you. I just
Jenny.
completely lost, like her name was there and they just left, which is not shocking after, my brain, whatever. But she even said, like, you have to go into it understanding it's for reunification.
Correct.
It's to make the family whole again. Like you are, like you said, you're a tool. You are being used to
a stopping point.
Exactly. And
a break. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love learning more about foster care, because I mean, for us, it's more like the adoption side, because we know more about that because of our own stories. But we've had like you on and Jenny on, and then we've actually had a foster too, he's an foster and then was adopted. And, but he's in his mid-30s now, and just the amazing human that he has become with everything that he has gone through, because his story was one of my favorites, because his story is legit, like kind of what you see in movies with foster kids, running from house to house, sneaking out, taking like a garbage sack with all your clothes.
I was gonna say garbage bag.
Yeah.
Not even luggage.
It was a really good story. And then for him to become the human that he had, and the hard things he had to do, kind of like, it sounds like with your kids, like setting boundaries with parents, like going in front of the judge and saying things to the judge that you would never wish on any kid, that he had to do in order to protect his peace because of stuff, unfortunately, that was going on, you know, in her life and stuff like that. But it's just crazy because foster is a completely different level to me than like, I know there's crap that comes with adoption too, but like it's I love learning about it because it's something that I'm not familiar with. And I just yeah.
Well, and it's so different than what we no, you're fine. It's so different. Like you just said, it's the stuff you see in the movies. That's all we know. We only know what media tells us. So the more stories we can hear like yours involving your children or Jenny or Corey's, the more I just feel like there needs to be way more awareness around.
Agreed.
Yes, the struggle, but the positivity that comes from it. That comes from the struggle.
Yeah. And it really, you know, and I mean, you could do a whole podcast on the emotional side of it, and food. Like food is a huge thing when kids come into the home. Like huge. Like I never had one child come into my home that there wasn't a food issue, whether it's they didn't get food or they ate cat food or I mean, I mean, we could do a whole series on that. I mean, just food is like the number one issue you deal with when kids come into your home is food. Like, you know, I had a little guy that, you know, he came in the fall and I would have pies there and he would and I go in the kitchen and I was like, holy crap. Like there's just the whole centers were gone, you know, because he only got cat food. He had to eat cat food because they didn't, you know, and that's I had kids that, it is so funny. Me and my husband will kind of joke. I don't think I've ever had a kid not come into my home that has not thrown up on the table because they come in with McDonald's and I make a home cooked meal and they gag. And I've had lots of kids throw up right there at the table. And I'm like, huh. And to me, I'm thinking it's potatoes. It's green beans, it's chicken. But you know, when you're not, you know, like my daughter Haley, she threw up potatoes all over there. And I looked at her and I was like, go upstairs. Go upstairs. I'll take care. You know, I mean, like but I haven't had a kid that has not thrown up in his tray or because food, you know, you wouldn't think of something like that, but that's the number one thing you deal with food. I mean, you can't suppress it. You can't, it's just like a whole nother ball game when it comes to food. I mean, you wouldn't believe the things that of kids coming in and what they ate and what they didn't eat and how they got fed. And so that's one of the biggest things that you deal with. You know, emotional's big, but food is huge.
I think I remember Jenny mentioning that. Did you have kids that hoarded it? I swear she said something like that.
Yeah.
That they would hoard it.
They would take it and they hide it
and take it to their rooms. Yeah. Because
or
they
they
didn't know
eat till they got sick. They would just eat and eat and eat and eat. I had kids in my refrigerator eating ketchup and mustard. And I look at them and I just say, I look at them, I say, you can eat whatever you want. You don't have to do that. Everything in my house is you can grab, you know, and I made things accessible. Like I know there's some people that are like, you know, they try to dictate it when kids come in, but you can't do that. So I would actually put all my snacks lower level. So the kids could open up the drawer, grab a snack. They can open up the cabinet, make themselves. And I wanted them to be independent. So I would watch them destroy my kitchen, making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I'd be like, oh, but you know, but that's the little things, right? So, I mean, to us, making a sandwich is no big deal, but to a child who didn't have anything, and then they make that sandwich and they show you, look, I just made this. And you're like, you know, because to them, they're so proud because they got to do it themselves. It was theirs. They made it. Yeah, there's peanut butter. You know how hard it is to clean up peanut butter. So hard. Yeah. But that's what you do. It's those little things, you know, like putting the snacks at drawer level, and they still ask, "Can I eat that?" You don't ever have to ask to eat. And I always tell them that you don't ever have to ask to eat. You just get what you need. Get what you need. You know, and of course you do have to monitor it because you don't want them to get sick. But I never try to hide it, put it high, lock my fridge, lock my cabinets, because they're in my home. They're now our family, even if it's for 6 months, and eat, you know? And so I put everything kids would like low so they could just grab it and go. And then after a while, they're like, hey, mom, because they'll call you mom and dad, you know, and you just let them. You don't ever want to say, I'm not your mom. My name is Mrs. Bell. You know, whatever they do is what you go with, right? If I'm super duper cool mom, I'll be super duper cool mom until they leave the house. That's, you know, if I'm Heather, then I'm Heather until they leave the house. That's just what you do, but eventually by allowing them to feel comfortable and grab what they wanted. Hey mom, I'm going to grab a sandwich. Is that okay? Yeah, sure. Hey mom, look, I made a sandwich. So to start, it might be rough, but then they figure it out and they realize, oh, okay, I don't have to eat ketchup in my mouth. Mom's got snacks there for me, you know, and that just makes sense to me. So when I see other families that really go against what should be natural and then they complain and have issues, well, yeah, I mean, just give the kids the food. They'll be fine. They might not be fine to start, but they will. So food is huge. Food is probably even more huge than taking away from a parent sometimes. It's so,
that's crazy.
It's just so odd, but I get it, you know?
Yeah. I love the independence that you've given them, because I'm trying that really hard right now with my 9-year-old, to just, cause I get with the messes. I'm the same way, but I just want to let her fly and let her do her thing. And it's crazy, even though she has never had food issues, to see her when she finishes a product, to see her after she's made homemade waffles for the whole family, like on a Saturday morning, like they are just so proud of it. And so it's, you know, it's like next level. Look at your kids now, like all your videos of, I mean, you know, I know they're like older teenage, kind of younger adult kids, but like your kids are always involved in your videos cooking. And it's so cool that you're like, you know, so-and-so has made this huge thing for the whole family and they take you step by step through it. And I think that is such an amazing, I don't even know what to call it, that people need more these days. I feel like it's lost of people actually, you know, cooking more. I can't even think of, like, they need that skill. There you go. They need that skill to be.
Oh, I was going to say wholesome content. They need wholesome content.
Yeah, really.
Like, to look
really,
at
though.
And that's something you don't see very often anymore as parents cooking in general, but let alone with their kids.
No.
Yeah. Well, and you know, this is something we did before TikTok was a platform.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if TikTok was a platform when my kids were little, we'd probably be in the billions of views. Like, seriously. I mean, because my kids are like this younger, like I have videos of my kids, like making applesauce with me, making jam with me. I mean, because we can everything, like we have a big garden. So whatever they're seeing now, we've always done that, but there wasn't a platform to share it, I guess. And plus, I mean, I was busy. I didn't have time to be making videos when my kids were little, you know, but this is something we've always done. Like, they always had at least one chore, you know, like even when we had kids in foster care, they were part of that. So like Izzy, Noah, and if we had a little guy, they'd be in charge of just unloading the dishwasher. That's it. And the stuff wasn't where it should be. So after they went to bed, I'd have to go down in the kitchen because I didn't want to hurt their feelings and be like, oh, the forks don't go there. Because, you know, you don't want to, when they do something and they're proud, you don't come up behind them and tell them everything they did wrong or fix it.
Right.
So I would have to look at the forks in the bowl drawer until like 10. And you just fix it. They don't know any different anyway, you know. But I mean, it's you know, and that's why when kids came into our home, we just got them integrated in what we did. So whatever schedule we did, they were part of that schedule. So, you know, we weren't trying to take, everybody's like, foster parents steal kids. I didn't steal anybody's kids. I just took care of them until hopefully you got things right. And if you didn't, then, you know, I love them. I'm not going to let them go anywhere, you know, but it's so funny though, like the foster, our social worker, she's like, I don't know what you do with the kids, but when they come back in, they say, put me with Heather Bell, put me with Heather and Luke. And they're like, well, we can't, they got too many kids. Put me with Heather and Luke, because, and I think it's because they seen that like we genuinely love them. Like we did love them. It wasn't a show. You know, if the kids got $10, they got $10. And I think too, as you're talking about like your daughter with the sandwich, when kids come into foster care, they have nothing, like nothing. And so for them to make a sandwich and call it their own, that's huge. You know, to buy them socks where my other kids would be like, oh, white socks. Holy cow, white socks. Like they came with nothing. And so when whatever I got them when they were here, they got to take with them because that's their stuff, you know, and everybody wants something that's theirs. And so when you come in with nothing, you have no place, you have no path, you have like nothing to say that's yours. It's a huge deal. And even to do a chore, that's theirs. It might not be something you can touch, but it's still theirs. Like my job is the dishwasher. And they're very proud of that because it's theirs. It's something that they have control over. You know, when you come in from having no control over anything, even you're
Right.
little. I mean, everybody likes a little control of their life, even if you're little.
Right.
So just like the little things were just so huge to children when they came into our house. And I think you have to be aware of those tiny, tiny things.
Mhm.
And it'll help when you have to address bigger things. They have to see the importance of small things and hugging or just something small for them to appreciate and maybe heal and get, as they get older I hope they remember us. I hope they think back later, and Heather did this. And, I don't know. I haven't really seen any of the kids that were in our care that came and gone, but I would hope that we did some good, even if it was a short time to.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Better.
You're the
I
type of
guarantee it
person that
too.
like once you make an impression in somebody's life, they can't forget it. Because like I said, you've got one of the biggest hearts. And especially with those kids, they're always going to remember that, even when they're old. Like seriously.
Yeah.
Taking the time to show them a piece of love that they don't receive anywhere else. Like, I can't.
And you have to, though. Like, you have to. And if you're not willing to do that, please do not become a foster parent. Do not.
I'm glad you said that. No, I'm glad. That's good. Let's be honest about it. No, seriously, that's good to say, because like you said, do some people go into it thinking that they can just do it? And then is that why they quit like 6 months later? Is that?
Like, I don't know. When I became a foster parent, I really did. And I'll be honest with you. So my impression of the family was mom, dad, 2 kids, going out to the beach together, having dinner together. I mean, and I know this might sound very odd, but I really thought that families, I had this perfect idea of a family, and I thought all families are happy. They gotta be. All families are happy. And then when I got into foster care, I was like, oh my goodness, there's families that are broken and hurting. I honestly, and I'm a smart person, like I am intelligent, but I really was so naive to what was really going on. And when I became a foster parent, I cried, I was humbled. I think I even got on my knees and apologized to God, like, holy cow, how prideful of me to think that our families are so perfect and my life is so perfect. And then you get into foster care and you're like, oh, families are hurting, parents are hurting, kids are hurting, families are broken. I mean, and I've been exposed to so much. I would never, ever have. It's things you don't believe. Like you expose to things, you're like, that's not real. That's not real. Yeah, no, that's not real. And so my bubble was burst because I really thought all families it was just perfect. Their dresses, they're running through the fields with the flowers, families, I mean, honestly. And when I got into there, I was like, oh, that's not right. People are hurting. Okay, we got to get help and we got to do something, and it's and I've said this before, as a foster parent, you will have every emotion possible at the same time. The same time. It's sadness and anger and joy and frustration at the same time. You cry in your sleep, and also, this is kind of a little side note. When I was a foster parent, I never slept because I was afraid that birth parent would come find us and get rid of us. 10 years, I didn't sleep because you deal with some really scary people, and we had lots of threats. And as a mom, the moms get attacked. I'm the bad guy. I'm the enemy. It's never Luke. I'm like, why doesn't anybody say anything to you? Why is it always me? But the mom is the one that gets attacked. I mean, I have had birth parents' friends like stare me down and threaten me and find me, they'll see me in the grocery store and make it a point. And I was afraid. And so I didn't sleep for 10 years because I thought, okay, if they come, here's my escape plan. Run down the hallway, grab the kids. We can go out this window. Okay, do I have a bat somewhere? Like, I had an escape plan every single night because I had parents that were rough, that threatened to steal the kids and come to my house and blah, blah, blah. So I didn't sleep because I feared for my life. And I know that's extreme, but when you deal with some people that are really serious and they start threatening you, you better take it seriously. So I don't mean to bring that up, but I mean, foster care just has so many elements to it that people go in, I'm going to adopt this family. Well, you might have a death threat in the 2 months. So you might want to kind of, because I didn't expect I'm going to be a foster parent and I'm going to let people give me death threats. I'm going to let them, You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what you think. I didn't, you know, I'm gonna one day grow up and let people threaten to beat me up. You know, that's just not what you do. And so it really is a lot, but it'll definitely change your life forever. You see things differently. You see people differently. You see kids differently. You see the whole family dynamics, and it is a learning process. And I think that's what's helped me to be more compassionate and kind to others, to not judge, because you don't know what people are dealing with.
Right.
Even the worst mom, you have no idea. She could have been raised in the home she's in now. Her grandma, her great grandma, it could have gone down 3 generations, and that's all she knows.
Right.
So I have really learned to get off my pedestal, to not be so haughty and prideful, to be realistic, to be kind, give hugs. Oh my goodness, I can't even tell you the hugs I've given. And you know how hard it is to hug people who hate you? It's really hard, but you walk up and you just hug them. You have to. You have to. Because sometimes you can't, they won't listen to your words, but they might listen to a hug, you know? And so I'm a hugger. And actually, David's birth mom created the hugger in me, because when I first met her, she gave me the biggest hug and I melted, and I was like, oh, she loves me. And it's so funny. I thought it was just me. But when we came home from meeting David's birth mom before he was born, my husband looked at me and goes, did she give the best hugs in the world? And I go, yes. And every time I seen her, she just grasped on like, I love you so much. And I thought, that's going to be me. I'm going to take that birth mom's hugs and I'm going to do it. And so I just carried that on because it got showed to me, you know. And so it really has made me this person. My kids have created me. I don't give myself any credit. My kid, you can thank my kids, because my kids did this to me. All those foster kids did this to me. All those birth moms did this to me. I mean, I am who I am because of the whole foster care, because I wasn't this person before. And if I'd have had all my kids, would I be that perfect running through the fields family with no care about those around me? Maybe, you know, I mean, maybe there are people that have no idea. They're clueless and they don't invest in others or invest in families.
Right.
They'll walk right by you and have no idea you're hurting. And I just don't want to be that person. I want it to take me an hour to get from the door to somewhere, because I want to see people beside me. I want to say hi. Are you okay? I noticed you're not feeling too good. You know, that's the person I want to be. And I have a lot of growing to do still, but
like, this is exactly why I think we need more people like you, because holy cow, like, just you're like everything that you have seen. And it's like kind of the same with Corey. I mean, if you guys want to listen to an episode of an actual, like, really hardship with the foster who's, you know, was adopted, he will go and solidify everything that Heather's talking about. That's hard. Like, that's hard, because he got real and open and honest and raw, and a lot of things that he said you would never wish a kid seeing ever in any lifetime that he had to go through with his mom. And so I love, like, I know you don't want to bring up the hard, but it's also real life. And so I love that you said that. And I love that you're a hugger. So then when I meet you in person, because I'm a huge hugger, and I love hugging people that don't like hugs, because it makes them so uncomfortable. And I'm like, well, tough shit. You're just going to have to deal with it. And that's how, because I have one
let
friend.
Go, but you hug tighter.
Yes.
I feel you. You're letting go, but I'm not going to let go. You know?
Exactly.
And I have to say something too, as you're mentioning Corey, is the thing too is children have a bond with their moms. Even if they've gone through everything you could possibly think of, they'll always love their moms. They might be angry and mad and might not want to talk to them, but they'll always have that bond with their mom. And so we were very careful. Like, we didn't bash their families. I didn't bash their families or tell them all the negative, because honestly, as they get older, you don't really have to. They'll see things, but we weren't about bashing the birth families. But they'll always have a bond with their mom, and people don't understand it. Like, why would they still want to be their mom if she did this? Because it's their mom, because they love their mom. And no matter what she does to them, it's still their mom. They might not have a relationship with her, but they're still going to love her. And there's still going to be that little bit of loyalty to her always. That's just the bond that's created. It's meant to be like that, you know? And
no, he said that to us. He said he was a mama's boy, and like all the things that he did that you'd be like, oh my gosh, how could how could a young kid do this for their mom? Like, crazy stuff. And it makes sense. you have that bond with your mom. So of course he'd go do that for her, because
Right.
I get it. It's the love, and it's your mom. You know what I mean? It's your mom, and it doesn't matter, because like you described all three of your boys with their different experiences, different ages, you see your mom differently at different ages. You know what I mean? And so a 100% when they're younger, everything and anything is about mom, no matter what she's doing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's your mom.
Yeah.
So I get that. Oh, I get that. But yeah. All right. Do you have any other questions, Delancey, for her? No?
I'm still taking it all in. That was a lot.
She
lot of
like
moving
do like a
parts.
part 4.
I know, but
1, 2, 3,
that
4
she's
parts.
but like, this is why I love always like talking to you. Like, she's somebody who I told her, I was like, I wish I lived by you, because then I'd come cook with you all the time. Like, dead
I'd love
serious,
that.
because she's just good people. She's really good people, and she loves to see the good in people when most people don't want to see the good. When most people want to say,
Yeah.
they're stupid, they're dumb, yuck, gross, how dare them, they're a horrible human. And I always love talking to Heather, because I always kind of get put back in check of, okay, people are going through things. You have to keep your heart open when you don't want to, and just, be compassionate, send them well wishes. And maybe what you have to do is just walk away from them, but still you want the best for them. And that's what I love about her, is that, I mean, you guys can see, if you watch her on social media, you can see what a big heart she has and how fun she is, and just all the things that she does with her kids. I just absolutely love it. I've got mad love for her, and I'm hoping I can meet her in the near future. She might be coming
that'd be
way. So I would love that. And I love that you're a hugger, because I'm the same way. I love hugs. I don't know why I've always been that way, but I love hugs. There's just something about a good hug. Like, I love it. So anyway, but let me ask this. I know you've given so much already, but what is probably one of the biggest pieces of advices, I can't even talk, advice that you would give to somebody who maybe is considering going into foster care?
Whew. Well, I actually just made a video on this the other day. And because I had a lot of people ask me, like, I got so many questions for you. I want to become a foster parent. And I think the biggest thing would be just to be prepared for like foster care to just completely change you. Like, it really is going to change you. Expect crazy, like expect to be upset, expect to be sad, don't be shocked when things, come. I mean, like when we were in foster care, we were new parents. So we never took a child over the age of our oldest. So if David was 5, we would keep it 5 and under, just because we were new parents. And I think as your parents get older, or as you get older and your kids get older, then you'd start to address different issues. So for us having younger kids, we didn't take 12-year-olds, because I don't know how to parent a 12-year-old, and I don't know how to deal with problems that maybe they're dealing with. So as my children got older, and we became, more veteran parents, then we would start taking older children, because we were dealing with those things, and it made it a little easier to understand and stuff. So I definitely, and you don't have to say yes all the time. Whenever somebody calls you, I did say yes all the time. And my husband said, you can't save them all. I said, well, I'm going to try, but it's okay. Like, it's really important, I think, as a foster parent, that be ready for everything, be ready to be broken, be ready for it to change you. And when a kid does come into your home, you can ask questions to the workers, like, tell me the situation, and see if it's going to fit your family, because there might be some situations that you don't want to bring into your home if you already have children. So it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to advocate for yourself too, and just say, right now we can't, or not, not this one, but definitely be ready to just have your whole life, just your bubble burst, and it's just going to completely change the person you are. And if it doesn't, you're ice cold. If it doesn't change you, then there is something wrong. You might want to maybe go into a different profession or something, but it's definitely gonna just completely break you. It's going to break you and create a completely different person. So be ready for that. But it's great too, though, because I mean, I've met so many great moms and so many great kids and so many opportunities. So there's so much good in it too. Even if you break through for a child and he gives you a hug, that's huge. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So even those small milestones that those children hit, that's huge deal. I mean, whew, there's so much, really. I could go on and on. I could keep you guys here all day, make you lunch, make you dinner, have a snack with you. I mean, we could just
I'm good with all of that.
I know, right? I'm
okay,
down.
Cool.
I'm down. I'm totally down for food and listening. And
no, I love it. No, but
Oh.
seriously, like, thank you for coming on and doing this with us. And I mean, you guys, you can find her pretty much anywhere you look. Instagram, TikTok. She's got YouTube too. Her handle is just the bells 10. Hence her 8 beautiful babies, and then her and her husband. So, but like, seriously, some of the stuff she makes, I'm like, oh, and then my daughter will oversee it. She's like, Mom, let's make that. I'm like, dude, we're 5 people and you guys are all still little. We don't need that much food. Maybe when your brothers are big, then we can hit that. But no, she's just so much fun to watch.
Just cut it by half.
she's so much fun to watch. I mean, she's got such a good personality too. I mean, as you can see here, but in her video, she just makes life fun. And I love that she does things like all the dances and stuff with her kids. I'm just like, oh, I hope my kids will do that when they're that age, because I just think it's so much fun. But seriously, thank you, Heather. You've got one of the biggest hearts. You are one of legit the sweetest people on this earth, and we need more people like you. You are what makes the world a good place and restores people's faith in humanity. No, I'm not even kidding you, because of the person that you are. And I absolutely love it. So seriously, no, thank you. Thank you for coming on and doing this with us. We so appreciate it.